Another myth that I've noticed, is people will say you get better terps from drying your bud before you trim it. So from trimming dry. Is there any science to back that at all?
I've never heard of that before.
You've never heard that?
No.
You want to make sure that you trim it when it's wet trimming, more terps. You're preserving. Basically, you're getting a slower dry.
Fresh frozen, if they trim it and then freezing it right away to try to conserve things. Or
It's the same concept. It's essentially you're trying to preserve the slow burn of your terpenes, but there's no science at all to back it. Myself, I recently ran into some stuff that had almost no leaves after my defull. Like it was pretty much just ready to smoke, and it looked like the Chill Out OG in the sense of it's just tracked out fan leaves, a little bit of fan leaves. So I left it, and that by itself was fire, no difference. I trimmed all the stuff off versus that donuts triploid. They're both donuts. One of them was beautiful looking, not necessarily like a terp that stood out, but there was a terp. One of them had no terps at all, and the one that had no terps at all, I totally slow cured. I let that just sit there, wet, full plant, hang upside down. It was about 12 days ballpark of drying. Both the same plants, one of them just being left alone, one of them a slow dry. There was no actual science that I've seen to say that drying your plants and then trimming it will do anything versus trimming it when it's wet. Bro science, myth.
That's crazy, yeah.
And that's my side-by-side, so it's a little bit of like somewhat controlled, but the main thing is like when people will say that there's the only way you're going to get the best terps, organic, putting your whole plant, cut upside down. You know how many people I know who will cut their buds off whole? Tons of people, a majority of people. That's why they have trim trays. Those aren't not trim trays, the trim racks, like the multi-stage trim racks. I feel like a lot of it is just bro science and just us using that same thing. Well, if you think about it, it's just like a slower. It's like, well, yeah, if you think about it, there's a lot of shit you can try to make sense to with the human brain, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's logical, you know?
Bro science lives on.
Holds the trikes on. I could see that. Well, and I could see that, but then you're going to be... Well, yeah, and then if you pick off...
Nobody can hear Wink.
So Wink was saying that to him, it essentially holds your trikes on. So again, but this is all subjective bro science. That's my biggest thing is I feel like a lot of myths, until we get some science to go with it, it's subjective in that sense, because it's the same thing as if mine's moist, I'm not seeing trikes popping off. But if it's super dry and I'm going to touch it at all, you'll see like little bits of areas of trichomes popping off. So I think you're sacrificing just about the same, unless you're doing it like Wink said, he's pulling them off by hand. So he's delicately pulling off fan leaves. He's not trimming with scissors, you know? So it's the same. In my mind, this is just a myth that people haven't really got enough science to back. But if I'm wrong, chat, let me know below in the comment section. I just did my side-by-side more recently, and I was like, damn, I'm always dealing with all these. I hate the leaves that are cocooned over my nugs, and I'm like, pull these off, and then I'll get to trimming. And then it's like an angle for doing it versus trimming wet is so easy. Just going around the plant, like it's like, done. You know? This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.